Hey, what's up, all you YouTubers out there, fellow TIs, hanging tough in the fight for liberation from this evil, godforsaken mind control agenda. Anyways, I've come to know this program very well, and let me just say that my life at this very moment is in grave danger. Something has happened in the last few months that has given me insight, not just insight, audio frequency that is linking my brain to this computer interface machine, is allowing me to hear whatever they talk about on their end, wherever it's receiving, and they discuss matters that have to do with what I'm doing in my life and, things. So basically, before 3 months ago, I was only able to really hear like a couple words out of a sentence, and that's when I was, there were moments I would pay attention, just because, a word would catch my ear and I'd listen for a little bit more, and out of the, 5 minutes or whatever, I'd hear like, just a few words a sentence, but I could easily depict that the words that I was hearing they're discussing what I was doing at the present moment, whatever that may be, whether I'm outside or in the backyard or, in the garage or, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, I just started hearing everything this guy has to say, every freaking word, and I sat and listened for enough to know that was, adequate information to locate this gentleman, and details as to that would definitely, lead to his inquiry, in which later would probably lead to an arrest of, all the people that he's going to rat on. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I know. So if anything happens to me, this in fact could be used as evidence. Today is November 23, and it is 6:43 in the evening. It is Wednesday. I'm in California, Salinas City, well, like I said before, my neighbors are participating in the systematic assaults that happen to me 24 hours a day, and the assaults that I'm afflicted with, EMF frequencies, microwave directed energy assaults. I have no doubt in my mind that my brain has been non-consensually linked to some computer interface system, and I'll explain more on how I know that, but it's without a doubt, and I'm sure you'll come to the conclusion as well after I tell you how I know that. I'm also vehicular followed wherever I go, and I'm surveilled inside my house. Like, they know exactly what I'm doing, not just out my eyes, but they're using microwave technology to see through the walls. It's scalar wave technology to see through my walls. And for all you new viewers out there, all this technology I'm speaking about is very relevant and it's very much a reality to the things that I'm experiencing. There's nothing else to explain it better than the technology that I'm stating as fact are being used against me and as an innocent American civilian by fascist, treasonous, two-faced, Nazi cocksucking, fucking fake-ass police officers, okay? These so-called men hide behind a badge and have methodically, sadistically, tenaciously, redundantly fucking been zapping me for over 5 years at this house where I'm located at 1873 Delancey Drive, Salinas, California, 93906. I will state this. I'm of the strong suspicion, based upon the amount of data I've collected, not just from this wave of people that have now inhibiting now that reside in the houses, where the other people that I thought, not just thought, but had compiled data on those houses depicting the frequencies coming from the locations of these neighbors' houses to my home, when I am in fact being targeted, and the GPS shows it, map and dots indicating how and where this frequency is coming from, and the path that it travels to hit me. Anyways, we're talking over the last 5 years, I've managed to compile about 200 gigabytes worth of compelling supporting data that otherwise, if you just had a few circumstances of it, of results of these various scans that I was methodically fucking always running when I was home, but I've compiled so much now that I don't need to run anymore. Just once in a while I do, just to like update, what my suspicions are. But yeah, so when a person has just a little bit of data, let's say 1 or 2 incidences, it maybe it's even 10 or 15, and that isn't showing the same location, but on like 15, different locations, or let me say 5 different locations, and it's spread and make it 3 at each location, or maybe some more than others. That's still not, I feel, not enough, and it's not adequate to justify the actions that I need implemented most immediately. I have compiled a great amount of data from various sources, like oscilloscopes, frequency analyzer detection devices, EMF detection devices, audio frequency analyzer devices, spectrometer, and it is handhelds and different types of different devices for some redundant frequency scans that I do, like EMF for once. I have a couple different things for that, and it shows me what I already feel to be the case is why I'm running them, and I feel that I have a strong foundation to make allegations today about things that I feel that are happening to me in this home that I've unfortunately been tortured in for every freaking day I lived here. Okay, well, because of this recent line of communication audio feed that I'm getting from the receiver's end of this, hive mind group that is, positioned close to me to monitor and surveil me. Well, I listened for a while, like I said, and I don't really need to hear anymore, especially since, I've divulged the fact that I can hear them. I did that not prematurely, okay? I did that because I was angry, and I didn't need to hear no more, so I just let them know, fuck, I could hear every fucking word, anyways. So this is the situation. Not too long ago, like less than a week, maybe 8 days ago, can't be exactly sure because I've been really busy lately, running around with my head cut off because these cocksuckers. But I requested a Freedom of Information Act, which is everyone's right to do so, from the CIA, FBI, the Homeland Security, the ATF, and Department of Justice in regards to these matters that have to do with my torturing, my surveillance of my person in and out of my home, any thing be found with my name on it, authorizing and justifying the use of any of these weapons, microwave-directed energy weapons, extremely low-frequency weapons, anything with my name on it, giving authorization to surveil my person outside of my home and surveillance my home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? Anything that shows the authorization for, my constitutional, the multitude of constitution rights that I have as an American, innocent, might I add, of any crimes that would constitute or merit justification for these things that are happening to me. So, I don't want to get too much details, but 3 years ago, something happened, and I was able to hear them when I went camping one time. I'm a gold prospector, and I was out there doing my thing, but that was part of why I was there. The other part was I was hoping to drag one of them out, draw them out, and yeah, they did come out, but it were numbers that I didn't feel like I had a chance in hell to stand my ground, and I took off, okay? And that's a whole nother story, and I think it's somewhere in one of my older videos, and I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I was able to hear them pretty good then too, but now I hear them even better then. Okay, I hear them better now than I did then. But if I listen, I can hear every word the man says, even when he whispers. Okay. So this is what happened. I followed the Freedom of Information Acts, and then I'm actually, because I'm finding out that this guy that's spearheading this hate campaign against me, who's part of this hive mind team, is some way, shape, a relative of a police officer. My assumptions from what I gathered from my end, okay, or the son of someone that is running a higher level into this program, and well, he used to date my baby's mother, Candace Jones, okay? And don't want to get too deep in this, but him and this person that was dating my baby's mother, and her and I haven't been together since before our daughter was born. But so I don't care about that. But what is important is that this man knew I was innocent years ago and decided through his own self-preservation to continue to torture me. When I went to that gold prospecting camping trip I was telling you that I was on solo, that's when I found out the information. And what I'd said to him when I was in the woods talking to these drones at night above my sky, I said that, there's only two people that I could think that would do this to me, and one of them was a planning department for the Santa Cruz Department of the Department of Planning, Jacob Rodriguez, because I wrote a letter to his boss when my apartment was red tagged, and I thought he handled himself inappropriately and he was insensitive to my situation. And or my baby's mother, Candace Jones, and then that's when I heard Candy, you're Candy, from the other side, and then man, it gets deep. So then like an hour later, I hear my baby's mother, like Candace, like I'm like listening and depicting what the situation is just by hearing what's going on. And what it sounded like to me, that she stepped into an office and he said, and it's, her boyfriend or someone that she, was intimate with, he said, who is Anthony Cruz to you? And she asked why. And he's like, is he Isabella's father? What's my daughter's name? Isabella Marie Jones Cruz. Hyphenated Jones Cruz. My last name's Cruz. Her mother's name's Jones, last name. Okay, so she said, yeah, why? He's like, why would you put Isabella's dad into this program? It's, a death program, and she's like, how did you find out? He's like, it doesn't matter. Why would you do that? Yada, yada, yada. And then I heard this man, like his superior, he was discussing the situation and just how now there's a link between me having the potentiality of finding out this person's identity, okay, which, they covet. The whole reason that they're successful is because they covet and lie and deceive, okay, and act in secrecy, okay. But now I got a channel, okay, which I wasn't, 100% about, because through my hearing it and just maybe within 10 or 15 hours, there was a group of people that popped up on my claim site that I thought I heard walk into my claim site in the wee hours of the morning, like past 2 o'clock or whatever. And I had mentioned it when I woke up because I was I said, hey, I heard some people walking in and you should tell them that I'm not feeling that that if they don't make themselves known and I hear noises, I'm going to just start spraying my gun towards their direction, And it was I had me this little COT BB gun that was automatic, so I wouldn't want to hurt nobody. I was just wanting let them know that you're going to feel a sting or whatever if you don't make yourself known. So and I heard something across the little creek, and I sprayed my fucking little HK over there, replica, and this dude popped up with a mask on, looking at me. And I called him. I said, what the fuck are you looking at, dude? Are you here to stop me from leaving or what? Take off your fucking mask, you pussy. You know what I mean? And he didn't step across the river, but I'm just packing my bag, talking shit. You guys know what you're getting yourself. And that's when I saw this other guy and this other girl, this blonde-headed girl. And this guy was crouching down like fucking behind a bush a little bit. And I said to him, hey, you guys know what you're getting yourself into right now. I said, I hope so, because these guys that are doing this to me are looking at like multiple fucking charges that equal 100 plus years, okay? For the torturing and methodic surveillance of me and the violations to my civil liberties, yada yada. And so if you are participating in any way, shape, or form with the group of people that obviously you are, because you're wearing a mask and you're too much of a pussy to take it off, then I'd have you know that you're going to be potentially looking at life in prison. Okay, so do what the fuck you want to do. And I packed my bag and I took off this other way because there's a bunch of brush, but it opens back up to hit the creek over here further up. And that's when I heard, hey, he's coming towards you. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked up and there was 3 other guys with like that, two of them had rifles or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I just pretty much just took off. I kept I kept myself hidden but this is just a nightmare story to tell. Let me just say that that's initially how I first heard something that sparked my attention and gave me some insight as to the possibility of it being what I thought it potentially could be, okay? Mind you, these people put voices in my head, okay? And in my running from them, a few days later when I was returning back to camp, I heard some things that, that weren't there, but very much sounded like they were. Like, this is the Tahoe National Rangers, you're surrounded, put your hands up and put the weapons down. And a couple times this happened, and I did, and they didn't see nobody, didn't hear no one walking down because I was in a creek. So, there's, it's basically, the hills lead to a creek, and I didn't hear nobody. And so I was like, these guys are fucking with me, you know what I mean? And so I also heard this guy who was quarterbacking the plays and through my running was like, I realized then that they could see through my eyes. And that's also when I realized they could see through my eyes because I wrote a letter and sent it down the river. And that's when I heard this guy that I could really easily hear then, but even more now, said, "Oh, don't worry about it. The fucking idiot didn't even put his phone number on it." You know what I mean? And then he would ask somebody who was like interested in what was going on, "Hey, do you want me to read it to you?" Okay, so that's when I knew that like these niggas for without a fact. You know what I mean? Are downloading fucking video recording or putting in on a hard drive everything that I see. I actually went down there to draw these niggers out, and they came in numbers, over 20. Okay. And I got away from them, you know what I mean? Barefooted because I lost a shoe in the river. Man, I was fucked up at the end of it all. I couldn't even walk back to my camp. That's why I had to stay up in the woods for a day or two nights. Hobbled out, just broken. And in the process of me running, away from them and hiding and running and positioning myself to catch my breath and then running for over like 7 miles, okay? I would hear this man tell them where I'm at whenever I would stop and hide. "Oh, he's over there with that tree, or behind over there. He's up over there." And I always wondered, that's when I was even affirmation that these motherfuckers. So then I started hiding and closing my eyes wherever I was until I got enough rest. You know what I mean? And I'd open my eyes and look around and then take off again. Whole time I'm calling them cock-sucking fucking piece of shit traitors, Nazi fucking ball fucking suckers, all the fucking ruthless names I could fucking think of to fucking describe these tyrannical, treasonous piece of shit motherfucking Americans that act like an American, but really are truly a fucking terrorist, domestic terrorists that act for their own nefarious reasons. Okay, and they think they're above the law. Some of these gentlemen are police officers without doubts. I guarantee that without no qualm or equivocations. I know that. Okay, and so basically. I made it out of there, I eventually had to walk out of there, but that's another story. Anyways, I'm home, and it's been a few years, and last year, or was it, it was last year that it was a year and a half ago, okay, so it was July 2000, and I sent a cease and desist declaration out to the neighbors that I thought, not all of them, because 3 nights prior to that, they'd kept me up every night, torturing me, okay? So on the 4th morning, I woke up and I wrote this declaration out, printed it up on the printer, and then I thought that was, and then I handed it out to just a few of my neighbors that were in the front part of my house. There's neighbors that participate on the other side of the fence that live on a different street, Pennsylvania. There's 3 houses that I know for a fact through my collection of data that clearly shows them on more than a few times a redundancy over enough to pretty much come to the determination that in case is the source being omitted from that place house to my person. Okay, so the situation's like this. I left because after I handed that cease and desist of all criminal activity, I said that the residents, and what I'll do is I'll play it on my next video. Okay, and anyways, so I thought things were gonna like get less severe than they had been in the days prior and nights. Okay, no, I was wrong. Okay, they picked up the pace quite a bit to the point where I couldn't even. It was already bad enough to where like I couldn't stand still for any longer than like a minute before it just became really uncomfortable and hurt. Okay, painful. Okay, so let me just say that I left the house, for 4 months. All right. And I called the house after 4 months being gone, and to talk to the lady who owns the house, my friend, and see how she's doing, right? And her son answers the phone and tells me that she's in the hospital. And I said, what happened? She's like, well, she had a couple strokes right after you left. I said, no shit. So about a week and a half or whatever after I left, she was induced. She believes that she was induced a stroke, okay, is what she believes. She is a targeted individual as well. I did not know that before I moved in with her. I wasn't even sure what the hell was going on with me, okay? But after talking with her, she wasn't a target to the degree in which I have the attention that she lacks, okay? I am, in fact, unfortunately, got most of this whole fucking situation getting thrown at me. I am surveilled inside my home. I'm gang stalked whenever I leave the property, wherever it is I go. I have drones above my house every night, and no matter where I go, there's a fucking drone there, okay? And it follows me. It lets me know that, whenever I'll leave a store and it'll be like out on the horizon looking at me, and it'll raise up, to let me know, hey, motherfucker, you know what I mean? And, okay, so coupled with all that shit going on, I also get ELF frequencies. I'm not quite sure if that's it or if it's just this new anomaly that's allowing me to hear these guys on their end, because that's not what they intended for it to have happened, okay? I know this because I hear what they're saying. I don't know how he does it. He can hear every word I'm saying. I intervene when he's talking sometimes, and I let him know, and I reassure him, yes, every fucking word. Like when he says that to somebody, I'll say, yeah, like every fucking word. You know that in your heart, but I heard enough to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? And so I'm not sure if the voices to skull technology is being directed towards me, but I'm hearing voices in my skull that aren't my voices, and very, very well could be determined from just listening that there are the people that are involved with the hive mind surveillance of my person, okay? And this one cocksucker spearheading it is, in fact, the guy that that put me into this program based upon getting my name from this woman who I had a child with that was just a frivolous affair. Didn't last longer than 6 months. But I was very much a father to my child, okay? I raised her from she was 10 and a half months till she was 7 and a half. Now, this gets good, guys. Check out how gnarly this gets, okay? Trip on this one. My daughter and I spent every day together. Like when I never took her to, like when I got laid off, and I was, on unemployment, we spent every day. I never got a babysitter for her. Good times, man. You know what I mean? I live in Santa Cruz, right next to the beach on Pacific Avenue. So, we'd go to the beach a lot and just hang out. We'd go to dinner. We were like, I felt like we were a celebrity status. My daughter's beautiful, right? And she was always happy and smiling, and that made me happy and smile, And we were some restaurants we'd go to, and we were treated like, like just, I don't know, like we're famous or something. Like, oh, Anthony and Isabella's here, And they'd get our, would you sit at the same table, or you want to go outside? The ice cream parlors know us by name, and the stores we go into, even if it's the, Salvation Army, they're, oh, hi, Anthony, hi, Isabella, because we're always laughing and, being goofy and stuff. And, we're quite this, an entertaining situation to be a part of. I would believe, I always felt great, I'm blessed to have a beautiful daughter. It's smart and intelligent and very intuitive and very observant and very patient and just amazing, right? And so, something happened in court where I did nothing to lose my daughter, but through the dirty deeds of a corrupt judge by the name of Jeff Almquist. He used to work for, he's dead now. I've known nothing to do with that. He died in Paris or France or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other parents that he passed judgment over did in fact fall in there and murk him, because a lot of those thoughts crossed my head when I got done dirty. Now, I didn't know why anything like this could happen. I had a place to live, had a 3-bedroom house, and they actually ordered my daughter to stay in Santa Cruz and live with her mother, which she was just visiting on the weekends up until the point she was actually ordered not to have any more overnights because there was a potential child molester that was currently living in this SLE. Okay, but up until that point, she was in fact going over this SLE and spending the night at her mother's SLE. It was called the Revolving Doors. It was in Scotts Valley. It's like this mansion that was converted into some SLE. There's over like 50 people there. Like most of them are men, like over 34 men at the time, and over 20 ladies. And some of them had kids. But I didn't know why the judge did. My daughter even wrote a letter saying that she loves her mom and her dad, but she'd like to live at her dad's house because well, she has her own room there and she got a kitten, and dad cooks good, and he's easy to talk to and he's funny, and I like living at my mom's house. I like visiting at my mom's house. She's like, but there's lots of people there. My mom smokes a lot of cigarettes. I eat noodles a lot, and but I love my mom. I love my dad, but I want to live with my dad. Well, the judge took that and read it, but gave it to the mother, and she didn't want to acknowledge her daughter writing it. So basically, it wasn't taken into have any merit, right? That being said, they went with the mediation's recommendation for my daughter to stay in Santa Cruz, where she's familiar, where she has a familiarity with her environment. Now, mind you, what was overlooked is after school, she's with her dad all the time. So the familiarity would be me more than school. Okay, that's how I felt, and that's how she felt. But she was ordered to go and live with her mom at an SLE, and shortly after that, I don't know, probably less than a year, that's when I started getting targeted. Now, from what I understand, was this particular man had asked Candace Jones, my baby's mother, if she knew any piece of shits that deserved to get tortured to death, okay? And she said, yeah, this guy used to beat me. I never hit my baby's mother, dude. I never beat her. I never was, this chick is like a wingnut, right? She's cute and everything. She's charismatic, but like, that's what you think. But really, she's fucking schizophrenic, and she's, manic and sociopath, okay? Let me just say that much. That's why it was short-lived. I would have caught a case if I stayed with this woman, because the stuff that comes out of her mouth is just not good. So that's why I disassociated myself. And she had our child. And like I said, I was granted custody because during our mediation, she was late 2 hours. And I'd heard the night before that one of my friends picked her up on the side of Highway 9, hitchhiking with my daughter in her arms at 11 o'clock at night. So she picked her up. This friend of mine who's Fallon Filippi, who her and I are like, a cosmic brother, sister or whatever. She's born on the same day as me. And I used to know her old man, but he passed away. So she said, yeah, I think she's not good. I'm like, she high? She's like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, and are you going to go to the mediation tomorrow? I said, fuck yeah, I am. So I went there on time, and I told him, I said, hey, I don't think she's going to show up because, like, this is what my friend picked her up on the side of the freeway hitchhiking last night with my daughter in her arms, and she told me she looked like she was high. And she said later on, she called me, she said, yeah, she's high. And so she's probably not going to show up. So you might as well just hear what I got to say in lieu of, her coming here. And so they waited about an hour, and they said, okay, Anthony, just so you don't waste the trip, we're going to go ahead and hear what you got to say. So I told them what was going on and what I was working in, and how I can, provide a safe place for my daughter, because her mom's messing up. Well, sure enough, she came about 2 hours late, high as a kite, and the mediator said, would you like to let Isabella go with her father? She said no. And so I said, okay, well, they said, okay, Mr. Cruz, we'll get back to you. And like in a half an hour, I got a phone call, right? Because they had asked me in mediation, how would I, take care of this little girl that's only 10 and a half months going to work full time. I used to work at Lintel Engineering in Scotts Valley. And I said, well, her daycare's in Scotts Valley. I would just drop off at daycare before work and pick her up after work and live our lives. And I was in between at the time, but I had like $5,000 in the bank. I was like, looking for a place to live. And I said, well, until I find a place, I'll just rent a hotel room. What's the big deal? You know what I mean? And they said, okay, well, if you can make it work. I said, well, I'm sure I could. Well, if that's the situation, that we're going to, we'll look at that. If that situation in what you're saying is true, we'll definitely say that, you have means. And I said, yeah, would you like to see my bank statement? I just went to the bank, pulled like $30 out or $40 out or whatever. And they're like, no, it's cool. And but you might be asked to show, financial means later if it comes up. I said, no problem. And, I have check stubs and stuff, and working there a couple of years. And they called me up, they're like, Mr. Cruz, how would you like to go pick your daughter up from daycare today? Or, pick your daughter up at the grandmother's house. The grandmother had to drive her there, okay? And so the grandmother was given temporary custody until which I came over later that evening. As soon as I got a phone call, I went over there and picked my daughter up, and then raised her for like 7.5 years, and it was the best time of my life. Okay, I will say that. Growing up without a father, always dreaming of being a father. And it was an amazing time in my life. And the mom's in and out of jail. She's relapsed a few times, got multiple new felonies in car theft, and she was broken into someone's home, and just a constant, in and out of rehabilitation, constantly messing up. And throughout the 7 years, we have bumped into her through unfortunate circumstances. She was having, like, one Christmas Eve, her mother kicked her out, and she called us up, and I said, "Are you hot?" She's like, "No," well, she was, and I said, "Okay, well, you can stay in your daughter's room when you come over, and just and per the schedule we already established, just you're going to wake up and take her to the bus stop in the morning, like I do on your days, and when she comes, you're going to pick her up to the bus stop, bring her back here, and do your part during the days that you're supposed to have her, And she's like, "Okay." Well, that night, basically my daughter wanted to stay in my room that night, okay, and for every good reason why, because her mom was spun out, right, and I wake up and her mom's slamming a needle in her arm, you know what I mean, in my daughter's room, and I told her, "You got to go, that's fucking not cool." And so, like it was the following Christmas Eve, the next Christmas year, the same shit happened. I decided she was in a bad. She showed up at the house, and I let her come in, and I said, "Okay, well, you just go in your daughter's room, and I'll let Isabel know she go around the back, and I'll let her know that you came in around back and you're in her room sleeping, because that's what I want you to do. And you don't even need to see your daughter right now. Just get some rest. You know what I mean?" And so she didn't. She just tweaked out in my daughter's room and fucking just was drawing with curling crayons and trying on her clothes. It was just ridiculous, And I said, "You got to go. This is not even cool. You're not trying to come down or whatever." And well, then years go by or whatever, and she's doing good or what, and SLE, and then my daughter gets ordered to live with her mother. And well, like I said, these gangstalkers shortly after that started in on me. Now it gets really good. I can hear what this guy says, you know what I mean? And from the woods to now, it wasn't sure if I was enough to go on from the woods and being chased by these fucktards. Because also I heard other things that weren't true, so I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to put my daughter in danger. And God knows this is true, because I watch videos of people that are targeted have their, children tortured that are, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 ages, you know what I mean? And that breaks my heart to hear that. And it hurt something fierce to stay away this long. And it's been 8 years, or 7 years, going on 8. And it's been hard. But during the last few months, what I had heard in the woods only got validated from the things that I hear this man say. He, in fact, did date my baby's mother, but I had it wrong. He said, and I heard him say this, Anthony thinks that, my name's Anthony, that Candace is the person that got me to target Anthony. But really it was her mother, Susie Jones, who first contracted him out to kill me. Gave him like $32,000 or something. But he said he wouldn't do that, but he could make my life a living hell. And then, ironically, he found Candace and asked her, and it just she gave him my name, and then he felt validated or whatever to continue, and in doing this whole thing, I guess they got a level of intimacy or whatever, and because I could hear him talk about my daughter, like he knows her very well, my daughter's super smart, and I taught her to read before she was 2, and he just says, okay, about a month ago, I got a letter from a couple of months ago, I got a letter from the CPS saying that my daughter's going to have a hearing for guardianship. And I called the CPS lady up. I said, "What's going on? I haven't talked to her in months, in years. I mean, how's she doing?" She said, "Well, she's not doing so good, Anthony. Her mother's been abusing her a little bit and neglected her and this, what have you. And her best friend, parents are offered to be guardians to her for the interim or whatever." And there's a court hearing, and I had to do the Zoom thing, but I was there, and I let Isabella know. I said, "Baby, I miss you terribly, and I haven't been happy one day since you left, and I'm here for you, and if that's where you want to be, I support it, but just know that I've been missing you, and I can't wait to talk with you again, and I just want you to know that I love you dearly, and I support whatever decision you make." And all I could hear was, I could see her, right? And she's sitting between these two people that are, the people representing the guardians. I forget their names now, but I could just hear her. She just did want to like a little sniffle, and so that was it. That was. I haven't seen her, talk to her since that day. It Zoom, and CPS called me or texted me and said you did the right thing by, telling her that you support her, and I said okay. Yeah, so my mom's calling right now, but I'm not going to take it. Anyways, and it's important that I talk to her, but I'm going to pause it.